Ask any millennial or boomer what some of their fondest memories of video games are, and you'll no doubt hear a few mentions about cheat codes. They may be a foreign concept to younger gamers, but for those of us with achy backs, we are well acquainted with them. Not too long ago, game modifiers, extra content, and unlockables weren't shoved behind paywalls. They were built into the game, often left over as Easter eggs for fun or from the development and QA process and just forgotten about. These were accessible through various methods like password entries or a very specific set of actions or button combinations, like the famous Konami code, which boomers can't stop referencing to this day. Primarily found in printed media, magazines like Nintendo Power and Electronic Gaming Monthly survived and thrived off their exclusive coverage of video games and the secrets within. To supplement this, publishers also created cheat code almanacs or directories. I used to call them for what they were though, telephone books. These varied in size, but always contained thousands upon thousands of codes and other secrets, always sorted by console or alphabetical order. As time went on, the way we would discover cheat codes would change. With the turn of the millennia, the internet started seeing widespread adoption, and as a result, websites like Cheat Code Central would pop up overnight and effectively spell the death of printed media for this subject. As long as you had access to the internet, an endless amount of information was at your disposal. You could search for the latest cheats and tips for your favorite games at any time, and most importantly, for free. No subscription outside of your internet service was required, and back then your parents were likely paying for that anyway, so yeah, to us cheat code website using pioneers, it was basically free. Gaming magazines just couldn't compete with the freedom of information. They relied on us paying month after month for the latest info, but now with all of it out there for free, and on top of that, updated daily, gaming magazines just fell off. Their main appeal was taken away by competition they never saw coming. That being said, a lot of the information found on these websites was hit or miss. They often relied on user submissions, which were difficult to keep track of and verify. This resulted in a ton of misinformation and rumors going around, like how you can unlock Sonic in Melee or Samus without her armor in Super Smash 64. If there weren't any cheat codes available for the game you were playing, what you'd find instead was usually a mix of questionable gameplay tips, micro guides, unclear unlocking methods, Game Shark and action replay dumps that I could never test because I didn't have either of those, and sometimes just useless shit too. Take this for example. Anyone who's played Metal Gear Solid 1 knows that the guard on the right side of the helipad follows your footsteps in the snow. It's like one of the first interactive things you figure out about the game. Within the first 10 minutes you figure this out, and you can't really miss it. Yet somehow, someone believed this was a secret, one good enough to share with other people. It's not a cheat, it doesn't unlock anything, it doesn't benefit you in any way, in fact it's detrimental. And it's most certainly not a secret, it's just a cool but useless gameplay mechanic that only shows up once, I think. Why even bother submitting this? But anyway, when there were cheats available, it felt like half of them didn't even work. I can't count how many times I wrote some down because I wasn't allowed to waste ink, that shit's still expensive today, ran to the console with my chicken scratch, and then found out the cheats didn't work or were flat out fake, as if my 10-year-old self was somehow supposed to know that the cheat code that turned CJ into Ronald McDonald wasn't actually part of the game. This sort of trolling doesn't happen anymore. It really can't. Games today are broken down and analyzed so quickly and thoroughly that if there were any cheat codes in the game, they'd all be listed online within a matter of days. Because games are picked apart on such short notice, there's no sense of mystery to them after a while. Moving on, GameFAQs or Game FAQs, I've heard people pronounce this both ways, was another well-known website back in the day. Like its competition, Game FAQs did have cheat codes, however, the site offered more than just that. It was mostly visited for their user-created guides, almost all of which still hold up today. The quality varies, but I found that many of these guides are super thorough. Some of these are really friggin' long, and a lot of effort was put into them. A good chunk of them have really cool ASCII artwork, personalities, opinions, and I've even come across some in the past that even mention beef with other people in the community. It's really funny. This site is great. I used to use it a lot in my youth, and I still occasionally find myself visiting it even to this day as I play through older games. It's not the only site left that has cheat codes, but it is the easiest to navigate. Almost every game is on there, and for those reasons I believe it is the most most useful, especially thanks to its QA section and discussion boards. Time hasn't been good to the other websites though. The formerly mentioned Cheat Code Central, arguably the biggest cheat code website back in the day, has become nothing more than a mediocre WordPress blog propped up by name alone. The website is a shell of its former self. It looks like shit. They even got rid of the old badass logo. But that's not even the worst part. The cheat codes are gone. They actually remove them. What the hell's even the point of a site called Cheat Code Central if there are no cheat codes on it? Other notable sites like Super Cheats and GameSpy never got rid of their cheats, but those places are more of a time capsule than anything else. They knew their time had come, so they stopped receiving updates in the early 2010s. They're on borrowed time now, so explore them while you can. Another website I used to use a lot as a kid was Cheat Planet. I've heard mixed opinions about this one, and I've even found some really questionable stuff on there myself, but back then you really had to have a backup source because a lot of the cheats weren't entirely accurate, so you'd end up like cross-referencing another site to see if you wrote it down right or if they made a mistake. Nowadays, unfortunately, Cheat Planet is gone for good. The domain redirects to Games Radar, and that sucks. You can still visit the old site on the Wayback Machine, but it's not the same. Plus, the Wayback servers take way too long to load sometimes. It really is a pain in the ass. Going through these internet relics made me realize that I yearn for the old days. I miss the simpler times when I didn't have to wake up at 6 a.m., pay taxes, and pray my body wouldn't break down over the slightest physical inconvenience. But more importantly, I miss the days where cheat codes were a thing. I know game development has advanced to the point where they're not really needed anymore. Monetization is prioritized over fun, and games get picked apart in a matter of hours, but would it really fucking hurt someone's bottom line to add a secret big head mode, a cheat for infinite ammo, or hell, even a level select? Am I being unreasonable for wanting things to go back to the way they were, or am I just getting old and complaining for the sake of it? Let me know what you think. Do you miss cheat codes? You got any favorites? Mine were always the weapon and health cheats for GTA. I memorized those by heart. Do you have any memories of using sites like these? Do you pronounce game FAQs like me, or do you pronounce it game facts? Let me know in a comment. And as always, if you've enjoyed the video, please remember to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't. Hit the bell icon to be notified for future uploads, and if you want to connect or see what's in store, I have links to my shitter and Discord in the description. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.